Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing issue number 1 of Marvel Presents Paramount Comics Star Trek Unlimited, featuring 2 full stories comprising both the crews of the Next Generation and the original series Enterprises, respectively, in their own respective stories. The first one featured is the TNG tale Directives, written by Dan Abnett and Ian Edgington, with art by Ron Randall, Carlos Garzon, Jerome Moore, Al Williamson, Derek Fisher, and Team Bucci, with letters by Phil Felix, within which the Enterprise D has been dispatched to the planet Andrella to conduct a first contact mission with the soon-to-be interstellar Andrel. Only, while investigating some strangely unnatural tectonic activity on the planet's surface before contacting the Andrel people, Commander Riker and his away team encounter a giant alien vessel digging into the planet's surface. Thus unfolds a troublesome encounter with another starfaring race known as the Lam, a species who places as equal a regard for the predictive restructuring of entire societies and planets where the benefits would take a millennia to accrue, as the Federation does its prime directive. In the ensuing moral conflict, Captain Picard becomes aware of a congenital blood defect in a member of the Lam's crew, who was injured in an altercation with Riker earlier, that, as Picard notes, if left unchecked, could result in the eradication of the Lam race 1,000 years hence, thus ending the Lam's siege on the Andrel's planet, so as to focus their views to more internal matters. Picard, too, concludes to leave the Andrel without contacting them for a time, giving them a chance to better recuperate from their imposed wounds, and thus the story concludes. Now, as good as the first story featured in the issue is, it's the second story set during the TOS era that's the real treat, entitled Dying of the Light, written also by Dan Abnett and Ian Edgington, with art by Mark Buckingham, Kev S. Sutherland, and Kevin Cozy Summers, with letters by Phil Felix, wherein the Enterprise responds to a distress call from a ship crashed on the planet Lotora 3, which resides in an uncharted stretch of Gorn space. Set around the equatorial rim of the planetoid are a number of rock-carved spheres depicting glyphs that Spock is left behind to examine as Kirk and his landing party beam down to investigate the emergency beacon. On the surface, they meet human archaeologist Holm Bainan, who shows an emphatic concern for the artifacts he's studying, as well as some strange medical readings that have Dr. McCoy very interested in making further scans back aboard the Enterprise. McCoy determines that Bainan's been doused with so many types of cutting-edge medical supplements that his immune system is almost superhumanly enhanced, a realization that leads Kirk and crew to see Bainan's true intent for issuing a distress call in the first place. He needed a getaway car. Just as Bainan is sent to the brig, the Enterprise comes under fire of several Gorn hegemony ships, and the reality hits home that Lotora 3 is a Gorn grave planet that they now consider to have been desecrated. Kirk knows these creatures to be a species that places great importance on honor, yet are they not easily persuaded, a point that is only truly tested when it turns out that the captain of the lead Gorn vessel is indeed Salath, the Gorn Kirk was pitted against on Cestus 3. Kirk responds to the hostile situation with an uncharacteristic vote of surrender, an event that perplexes his second-in-command, Mr. Spock. Their exchange about little white lies and how color cannot seemingly have any effect on personal duplicity, ringing true to the many such comical interactions between the two in the original series. With his bets hedged, Kirk consults Bainan once again for any means of potentially gaining some leverage with the Gorn, and is led to, of all things, Norse mythology. Kirk and a landing party return the artifacts to the surface as promised, stolen earlier by Bainan, but will not indeed surrender when confronted by the Gorn, and the two parties enter a physical altercation that is only evaporated when Kirk relates the story of the Norsemen, who would bury their warrior dead in burning ships, with all their weapons and possessions in tow, so as to give them the rest they truly deserved, and then turning his phaser onto their own shuttlecraft and slowly vaporizing it. With this stunning act, Kirk persuades Salath to believe that friendships are easier made with open hands as opposed to closed fists, and each of them leave in peace. While Directives was a poignant investigation and realization of the setting and tone of TNG, as well as the moral values of the Federation and a similar alien culture, Dying of the Light was a story cut almost directly from the TOS cloth. And it never let up, all the way up to the end, ramping up the circumstances with every single page, and culminating expertly with lessons learned and entertainment fully achieved. Every panel of this book depicts visually exactly what you want to see in a Star Trek comic, no matter the era. Even if the faces of characters familiar to us are sometimes a little off-kilter looking, the ones recognizable as freeze-frame still shots notwithstanding. All in all, this was a stellar first issue to a series that I sadly never continued with, and I'm hoping eventually to catch up on back issues for. I'll be rating this inaugural 1996 Star Trek Unlimited issue a solid 5 out of 5. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below if you're a Star Trek fan and also a comic book fan, if you've ever picked up Star Trek Unlimited. If you've checked out any of the other issues in the run, I'd love to hear how good the stories were, whether they lived up to the quality of the first issue or not. Otherwise, I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you later. Peace.